From each happily ever after, every wish upon a star. Let's break down the movies that shaped who we are. From memory lane to now and everything in between. The most famous of films to the ones we've never seen. Decade by decade, all the times we laughed and cried. And with a little pixie dust, they will all take flight. Reliving the feelings, and we're trying our very best. And if they mean the same to you, please be our guest. So hop aboard, we would love to have you as we hang with a certain mouth, the whole gang too. If you love nostalgia stuff, we hope this does the trick. Thanks for joining us as we deep dive the magic.
Hi, and welcome back to the Deep Diving the Magic podcast. I'm KJ.
And I'm Jeffrey. And thank you all again for hanging out with us and diving into the movies that we love. We hope that this is as enjoyable for you as it is for us. Today's film will be the 12th full-length feature Disney animated film, and that is Fun and Fancy Free, released on September 27th, 1947. We've made it to the year 1947. Fun and Fancy Free is yet another package film full of shorts that has some of them, if not the most famous short on it, but a little bit of weird in there too. If seeing a ventriloquist dummy in a Disney film on your bingo card, we've got something in store for you.
It's my least favorite.
So would you like to hit us with a little bit of a synopsis to get started?
All right. So, Jiminy Cricket hosts two Disney animated shorts. Bongo, about a circus bear escaping to the wild, and Mickey and the Beanstalk, a take on the famous fairy tale.
Yeah. And everybody's seen that short before.
Mhm.
That's the one I was referring to, the really famous one. So thoughts on it?
It definitely wasn't one of my favorites. It wasn't that bad. I did not like the ventriloquist part.
We'll get there.
But the story of Bongo was cute. I think I had seen part of that before, but I don't think I watched it as a kid, so I don't know where I would have seen part of Bongo before.
We might have watched it.
And I think I kept telling you, I think we've watched this before. And then
we
obviously
do have the VHS tape.
Well, I know I didn't watch the VHS stuff with you, so I know that wasn't it. But it was good. I enjoyed it. And obviously, like you said, the Beanstalk story was great.
Yeah. It's
Classic.
It's the glue that holds this film together. But so we'll start off with
Totally.
we meet up with our friend Jiminy Cricket again. From my still number one movie, Pinocchio. Who somehow becomes the connecting character and the narrator of this film. I actually think that the reason they chose Jiminy Cricket for this movie is because he starts off by singing a song called Fun and Fancy Free, which was originally meant for Pinocchio, but cut.
Oh, that would make sense.
So they probably were just like, well, how do we do
And
this?
Cleo's come back too.
Yeah, that's actually true. So Jiminy is, I don't know, breaking and entering into someone's house. He's just kind of
Always
in this place, some kind of conscious he is. But so he's singing Fun and Fancy Free, which I mentioned was originally from Pinocchio, but he begins to play a record. So he finds some records. So he begins to play a record, but that brings us into our first short, which is a musical story of Bongo. Bongo the Bear is sung by Dinah Shore. Bongo is a performer in the circus who is chained and trapped but has dreams of getting out. He does successfully escape the train on a unicycle. We don't see enough unicycles in the world nowadays. What do you got?
So the story follows the adventures of a circus bear named Bongo who longs for freedom in the wild. Bongo is raised in captivity and is praised for his performances, but is poorly treated once he is off stage. As such, while traveling on a circus train, his natural instincts, the call to the wild, urge him to break free. As soon as he escapes and enters the forest, a day passes before his idealistic assessment of his new living situation has been emotionally shattered. and he experiences some very hard conditions.
He does. And you know how you can tell it's a hard condition? Because it's raining. So we're back. We are now 11 of 12 films with rain.
Yep.
Thanks again, Song of the South, for ruining that. But Bongo does end up falling in love with another bear named Lulabelle.
Lulabelle.
Um,
The next morning he meets her.
yes.
So he had a hard night, but the next morning she brings the sun.
Part of the hard night in the rain was that Bongo realizes he's not very good at climbing trees. We'll come back on that in a second. So there's also there's another bear. It's a rough bear named Lockjaw, who's the villain of this short.
Is it really Lockjaw?
Lockjaw.
I thought it was Lumpjaw, which made no sense to me.
Well, we should look
When
that up
when I found it
because I
online.
wrote down Lockjaw a lot. So we should look that up.
Oh,
So-
well, online when I found it, it said Lumpjaw.
Okay, so maybe it's Lumpjaw.
Mm.
I stand corrected.
Thanks.
So this bear scares away all the other bears. Which is funny is that when he scares away all the other bears, they all run up a tree, no problem. But Bongo has the hardest time running up a tree. So clearly, he opted for unicycle classes in the circus instead of tree climbing classes in the circus. But we do also hear the Goofy yell in this during that when he's leaving. So
Mhm.
he ends up leaving because he's sad because he doesn't get Lulabelle. But the next day he comes back for Lulabelle.
Mhm.
But a fight comes with. I wrote down Lockjaw, but clearly it's Lumpjaw. And they fall into the river when fighting.
Mhm.
And they fall over a waterfall. And
Mhm.
Bongo's little circus hat saves him, but the other bear does not have the same luck.
Yeah.
The waterfall escape becomes more prevalent in a few other Disney films, such as Goofy Movie and The Emperor's New Groove. Many years from now, of course. But Bongo and Lulabelle show their love for each other by slapping one another, because that's how bears show their affection.
But Bongo didn't know that in the beginning.
Yeah.
So he had to learn that because he thought that she was upset with him. But then he figured it out and he was like, oh my gosh, light bulb moment. So then he goes back to find her.
So please don't slap me.
I'm not a bear.
That's true.
But I could use that as an excuse. Just
So
kidding.
thoughts on this short?
It was very cute.
Yeah, it's definitely the less memorable one of the two.
Well, obviously I remembered it. Because I was like, I swear we've seen this before.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even remember the villain's name, so
Lockjaw would make more sense than Lumpjaw.
well, we need
but
to look it up. So while I'm reading the next part, would you like to look up and see exactly what it was? So while she's looking it up, cast your votes below. Team Lockjaw, Team Lumpjaw. But so then we're back with our friend Jiminy, and because he is a little sleuth, he discovers an invitation for a party. So of course he's going to invite himself to this party, which is conveniently located very close to where he's at right now. So he decides to go to this party, thinking it's like a fun birthday party, but what he sees is a gentleman entertaining a few kids with a couple rather creepy ventriloquist dummies.
Mhm.
Because of course he did. Like, how many movies have you seen that has ventriloquist dummies that aren't horror movies? But what do we got?
It's still
So we meet the dummies, and one of the dummies' name is Mortimer. And
this one actually says Lumpjaw.
Lumpjaw.
And
Okay.
I guess he was actually her fiance.
Oh.
Scandalous. According to Disney Wiki.
Scandalous.
Lumpjaw.
She fell in love with a guy that wears hats. Nice. Rides the unicycle.
Mm-hmm.
I just listened to a whole podcast about unicycling the other day.
Yeah. Lumpjaw.
So, segueing into a name that I am certain of, one of the dummies' names is Mortimer. And do you know what Mortimer has a reference to in Disney lore?
Yes. It is the
Care to
Red-
elaborate?
It is the original name that he wanted to name Mickey. That
Mickey
Walt Disney
Mouse.
wanted to name Mickey.
But-
Mickey, and his wife said no.
Yeah.
He looks more like a Mickey.
He looks more like a Mickey, and the rest is history.
Mm.
So the story that's being told in the next animated short is the very famous Mickey and the Beanstalk.
Mhm.
There's been many connections to this through the years, whether it's in the parks, which we'll get to,
Mhm.
in pop culture, or the game I used to play on the Game Boy when I was a kid that Mickey had to defeat the Beanstalk and
I
the
did not know
giant.
that was a game.
Yeah, ask my sisters. There's a magical singing harp. I don't want to get too far ahead of it. Do you have anything to add before I completely do a deep dive into what's going on here?
There was the magical singing harp. There was some bits of it that I didn't remember.
Okay.
Like the singing harp, I did not remember
Mhm.
that was a thing.
I think it's on the cover. It is.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Like I didn't remember that. I didn't remember specifically like the food that
Okay.
was there. And I also didn't remember how,
Well, it's not a lot of food in the beginning. That's part of the problem, but we'll get there.
yeah, but I also didn't remember how the giant reacted to them the
Mhm.
way he did.
So Donald, Goofy, and Mickey
Donald.
are starving. Donald tries to attack the cow for food, but they decide to sell the cow. But Mickey only comes back with it's a couple of magic beans, which the gang is upset, not too pleased. Actually, there is a Disney lore. I don't know what the word is for it, but there's like a tall tale, I guess we'll say, that he was conned into buying the beans for the cow by the villains from Pinocchio, tying in Jimmy Cricket again. Honest John and the other gentleman whose name I don't remember.
I don't remember that either.
With the not so creepy voices, but that they were Stromboli. Honest John and Stromboli conned Mickey into buying the magic beans, but take that as you want to take that. So he only gets magic beans in return, but the beans end up turning into a beanstalk, and it takes the entire house with it.
While they're asleep.
So it actually
Like
saves
sleep
it
through it.
saves them the hassle of having to climb the beanstalk, like I had to do in that video game on the Game Boy when I was a kid. It just took the house with it.
Mhm.
So, there's a castle in the sky, and they adventure into the castle.
Yeah, I also didn't remember that he lived in a castle.
Yep. So they do not live in a castle once upon a time, but that's
No,
a
they
whole other
don't.
thing. So, they adventure into this castle, and they see that it's owned by a giant. So everything's huge.
So much food.
And there's a lot of food, including a very, very large giant-sized apple. So
And Jello.
So I have to say that giant apple makes up for all the movies where there hasn't been a Disney apple. So we're back to cut up on that. They do find the missing harp, but then we meet the giant Willie, who's actually kind of kind. This is the second character Willie in one of these shorts after the opera singing whale,
Mhm.
who also has a place in Magic Kingdom, but we'll get there.
Did they actually ever say his name? I didn't know it was Willie.
Willie. I mean, maybe I just know that from just knowing
I
that.
don't know if they actually said that or not.
Don't make me wrong again, but I'm pretty sure it's Willie the Giant. But
I mean, it definitely could be.
go ahead and touch on what you got before while I'm
So Goofy and Donald are super excited about being able to eat more food again. Until Mickey comes back and reveals that he sold the cow in exchange for the container of beans that are said to be magical. Like you said, the beans end up growing this huge beanstalk that goes through the house, takes the house with it, deconstructs the house. They're all sleeping. And I think there was a few times like when they're going up, like they actually fell.
Willie the Giant.
Okay.
Yes, nailed it.
And then pieces of the beanstalk actually catch them, so they don't actually
Mhm.
like fall to their death. But they all sleep through this, which I thought was kind of interesting. Um, took the house with it, and then the next morning, obviously, they wake up and they find that they're in the beanstalk. I found it weird that they didn't freak out as much as I would have.
There was food. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they didn't see the food right when they
Yeah.
woke up in the beanstalk. And then, like you said, there was a bunch of food everywhere, Big Apple. I also
The Big
enjoy
Apple. They're
the
in New
Big
York.
Apple. But I enjoyed the huge mold of Jello and how Goofy was basically bouncing off of it
You
like
know, I
a
don't think I've ever had
trampoline.
Jello in my entire life.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I've had plenty of apples,
Anyway,
so
so there's Jello in this, and it's jiggly, so it's a giant Jello, and Goofy's jumping on it like a trampoline.
maybe
Thought
that's
that
how
was
you,
funny.
maybe that's how you made the Goofy yell from the previous.
Maybe.
So they
Maybe.
we meet Willie the Giant.
Mhm.
Kind of seems kind, but he's a giant, so he's terrifying.
Mhm.
Willie locks them up, and Mickey is able to escape.
Mhm.
But we find out that the harp is being used to sing the giant to sleep. Mickey and the gang do narrowly escape. And that's because while chasing them, Willie does trip on the beanstalk like you were saying. Um, okay.
I thought it was funny that Willie actually found them because he sat down himself to eat, and powder was what he was like putting on his sandwich, and it made one of them sneeze, and that's how he found them.
Must have been some big chili powder, you know what I mean? So you would have
I mean,
sneezed
if you're a
too.
giant,
Yeah.
if you've got chili powder, it's probably
Yeah. So they make it down the beanstalk. They cut down the beanstalk, and then Happy Valley, which is a very convenient name. Happy Valley, they live happily ever after. They sing, they laugh, and I would soon no longer starve. And so then we cut back to the story after this short. They cut back to
Hang on, time out.
okay.
Funny story about Happy Valley. That's actually the name of a little town from where I'm from.
I think it's also the name of a dressing, isn't it? A name of a dressing.
It's Hidden Valley.
Hidden Valley. So
Yeah.
so maybe that's what the beanstalk is.
Happy Valley, North Carolina.
So
It
we
floods there a lot, I hear.
well, that's because of all the rain making the beans grow into beanstalks. You know where it doesn't flood?
If you're
Song of the
from
South,
Happy Valley-
ruining my list. If you're from Happy Valley,
Reach out to us and tell us how much rain you get.
not any in Song of the South, but so we get back to this story back with Jiminy and the creepy dummies in the kid's house, and we think the film is over, but then in a cute little turn of events, a cute little twist, Willie the Giant from the previous short rips open the corner of the house trying to find Mickey and the gang and his magical harp. This is also a reference to one of the stores at the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World, where if you go into the store, I don't remember the name of the store, Mickey's Clothiers maybe. It's right behind the castle. There's Willie the Giant is peeking his big nose in through the roof.
I think that's the name of the store.
Yeah, and I think it's such an adorable touch to do that.
And if you don't look up, you won't see it.
Yeah, and I don't know if if you
So
have
if you
seen
ever
this.
go to Disney World, look at everything.
And she wonders why I walk so slow.
He walks slow everywhere.
So,
unless he's about to miss a fast pass for something, but there's no longer fast passes, so
we'll say that for my sisters on the podcast. So the film ends with the fun and fancy free song again, which again was from Pinocchio. What do you got for a rating?
I rated it a 7 out of 10.
Okay. Any reason why, or what do you think?
I mean, there was some nostalgia with the story about the beanstalk. With Mickey characters. Donald was adorable, even though he tried to kill the cow. I did feel bad about that. With a fork. I think he just like full on went in trying to eat him with a fork and a knife with a bib. I don't know. It was cute. And then I also enjoyed the Bongo story. The Bongo story was cute. The only part I really honestly didn't like about it was the ventriloquist
Yeah, I don't get it.
dummies.
I've like watched like reviews of this before online,
And does
and
everybody talk about that part?
yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
And the other part I didn't get was I thought ventriloquist dummies, I thought the person that was doing it, like the ventriloquist, was not really supposed to move their mouth that much, but this guy was like full on almost moving his mouth like
Yeah.
I'm talking now, so it's kind of like I don't know. I didn't like that part at all.
Yeah. So, we've reached the
Oh,
list.
hang on, but
Go-
IMDb rates it a 6.4 out of 10.
So pretty standard for
Yeah.
movies of the time. Especially these package films.
Yeah.
This one wasn't the biggest package film because it was only 2 shorts as opposed to
Yeah.
sometimes they're up to 7. So we're gonna dive over to the list upon a star over here, and I guess this is my first time I can ask you, is this film making the list? And if so, where? And how dare you have Pinocchio at the bottom?
Make My Music is gonna leave us.
Well, you have to slide it down. Pinocchio's actually
Fun and oh wow. I was really trying to just get rid of this one. Sorry. I just want to replace them instead of
No,
just
you have to slide it. It's a list, my friend.
I guess.
So go ahead and read
whatever.
us your.
So my top 10 goes with Dumbo, The Three Caballeros, Fantasia, Saludos Amigos, Bambi, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Song of the South, Fun and Fancy Free, Make My Music, and The Reluctant Dragon.
Kicking off my number 1. So mine is also gonna make the list pretty much solely on the Mickey and the Beanstalk Shore. It is very nostalgic for me. Again, there is this VHS tape right here. I am going to move it. Mine's gonna be a little bit higher. I'm actually putting mine up here. So we're going all the way up to here. So my top 10 list now is Pinocchio, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, The Three Caballeros, Dumbo, Bambi, Fun and Fancy Free, making the list, Saludos Amigos, The Reluctant Dragon, Fantasia, and Make My Music at number 10. Thank you all again for all of your support and being part of our Disney family. You know how to get a hold of us. If you are new, thank you. We have the Spotify, the YouTube. Email again is the deepdivingthemagicpod@gmail. And TikToks as well. Something I know nothing about. But let us know how we're doing. Again, we are learning as we're going. So thank you for putting up with us learning how to make top 10 lists. But we're making it happen. Next week, believe it or not, another package film. You gotta love the wartime efforts. But we are making it into 1948, and it is another package film called Melody Time. We'll see you then.
Thanks for deep diving the magic.